Today we got a bunch of brand new Pokemon Winds and Waves leaks to break down. We've got some stuff about brand new features of the game. We got a brand new mythical Pokemon that could possibly be getting revealed soon, as well as a new character, the possible release date for the game. So just a bunch of crazy stuff, and like I said, we're gonna break it all down right here in this video. But real quick, like always guys, before we get into it, I'm trying to hit 30,000 subscribers on my channel, so if you guys don't mind helping me out to reach my goal, I extremely appreciate all you guys. But anyways, let's get into it. Alright, so the first leak here is coming from Light88, and he says potential Pokemon Winds and Waves leak. Seems we will be able to crest our own island. Maybe it's inspired by Poképelago plus secret bases, but with a dynamic system where the island gradually grows and changes over time depending on your progression, Pokemon, exploration, or choices. Instead of just a customizable base, it could become a living island that evolves alongside your journey, which, dude, that sounds insane, man. Like, I've always been a huge fan of stuff like that in games where it's kind of like the secondary, world, I guess, that you can go to. It kind of evolves alongside your progression in the game, like the story, new Pokemon, like it said, all that kind of stuff. Especially the choices part. I think that's very interesting because this game is going to be fully open world. So, naturally, not everybody's playthrough is going to be the exact same, you know what I'm saying? And not to mention, I've always been a big fan of games where your choices in the story really matter towards how the game's going to end. Like, think of games like Persona, for example. If you guys have never played a Persona game, basically in those games, there's certain big choices that come up where, if you make the wrong choice, your whole game is cooked, you know what I'm saying? Like, you're going to get the bad ending. You're not going to get a very satisfying ending to the game. And I think it'd be so cool if they incorporated something like that into this game, because it would just add a whole new level of difficulty and really make you pay attention to what you're doing in the game. But the fact that we can also affect this possible custom island with our storyline is just so cool sounding. Not to mention, I've always been a huge fan of island customization in games like Animal Crossing New Horizons, for example. I thought it was such a good game, so adding that into Pokemon Winds and Waves would be huge. And we know that Pokemon Winds and Waves originally was supposed to contain Pokopia as kind of like a little mini game included in this main game. So maybe they still kind of wanted to do that concept, but it's not going to be as in-depth as Pokopia. So I think that would be so fun as well, especially if we can travel to our friends' islands as our character in the game and kind of just explore, travel around, possibly catch, exclusive Pokemon on the island. That could be kind of crazy. Or maybe store all our Pokemon in some kind of a ranch or something like that on the island. Think of how Ash kind of gives all his Pokemon to Professor Oak, you know what I'm saying? Like, they're all just kind of chilling at Professor Oak's lab. If we could have something like that in Pokemon Winds and Waves, that would be sick, man. Overall, I think this is such a cool idea. I could totally see myself spending so much time making sure my island looked absolutely insane. Let me know what you guys think about this leak down below. And then we've got this other pretty hype post right here. It says Pokemon Movie 24 is dropping next year. It features Aperon, a fairy/normal type, possible mythical Pokemon from Gen 10. So this is actually from the Pokemon Winds and Waves Pokedex, and it apparently also has a fairy flying form, which this kind of sounds like a fairy type shaman to me, but I've always thought shaman was pretty cool, so hey, I'd be down for that, man. And then it says initially scheduled for 2023, it got delayed to 2024, and then delayed indefinitely, so I guess it makes sense that we haven't had it yet. If you guys don't know, Pokemon Winds and Waves was actually way back originally scheduled for 2025, so I guess it kind of makes sense why they had it scheduled in advance, because we've seen them reveal new Pokemon in movies early in the past, like Lucario, Zoroark, those kinds of Pokemon before the game they actually come out in, so I think that kind of makes sense. And then it says it is now heading to streaming platforms instead of theaters, so possibly a web series instead of a movie. And they have done those types of things where, like, they drop a bunch of these mini episodes on their YouTube channel. Think back to like Pokemon Generations, for example, that kind of thing, which I think that could also be pretty hype as well. It says the code name for this is Project Bauer, and the source here is the Terra Leak, which you guys already know the Terra Leak's track record. It's been pretty much 100% accurate so far, so I have no reason to doubt it. And this is sort of an illustration of that Pokemon Aperon that we read about, and it looks like some kind of a dog Pokemon maybe. You can see it kind of in the trainer's pocket here, or maybe their hand, I'm not really sure, but that's it right there. So I don't know, if it's a new mythical Pokemon, I think that could be pretty cool. And that would be the fourth new Pokemon from the Winds and Waves Pokedex that we had revealed, because so far obviously all we have are the starter Pokemon, so I can't wait to see more Pokemon from this game. So hopefully we get to see this movie sometime soon and get to find out all about this Pokemon and a new mythical Pokemon. I mean, you can't go wrong with that, man. Revealing a new mythical, people are going to be hyped. And then if you guys remember, we had this new character that Moot actually posted, and it looks like he's got two different versions of this guy now, so I'm not really sure if these are going to be two separate characters. Maybe they're related somehow. But another popular theory that I've seen is that the blue hair one is the younger version of the black haired one, and somehow it's some kind of time travel thing going on. That would be absolutely insane. You guys might notice they obviously both look like N, you know what I'm saying? I got a crazy theory though. What if this is N's cousin, M? That would be absolutely insane. But either way, I'm not sure what the story is is with these guys. I'm not sure if this is the character when he grows up and then kind of a kid version of him, possibly 2 new characters. We heard that these could be possibly related to the Pokemon champion, maybe the professor. We even heard that this character could have a similar role in the story of Pokemon Winds and Waves, where he's actually really heavily tied in to the story around the legendary Pokemon, just like how N was back in Black and White, so that would be pretty interesting as well. We honestly have no idea, but I thought it'd be cool to bring it up again because now we actually have 2 renditions of this character right here, so let me know if you guys have any ideas for it down below. And then we've got this new post from Central Leaks. He's replying to his own tweet here. He says the current consensus is that Pokemon Winds and Waves will be a late 2027 release. The games are already complete content-wise according to Mood, and the delay is mostly for optimization and just waiting for Switch 2 install base to grow a bit, so sounds like the reason that they delayed this game. From what we saw in the Terra Leak, of course said that this game was going to come out in 2026. A lot of people going into Pokemon Day were expecting to see the release date of Winds and Waves in 2026, but then they dropped kind of a bombshell on us and said 2027. So here we have a little bit of an explanation as to why they did that, and I think it makes sense. I mean, you don't want to drop a huge, massive game like this on a console that hasn't sold enough units for the game to really sell extremely well, so I think that completely makes sense. And not to mention, if they're optimizing the game still, I think that's even more of a reason to delay it. I think that's actually fantastic news that they're doing that, because I'm sure you guys remember Scarlet and Violet. That game was just a complete disaster when they released it. It was full of bugs, FPS issues, all that kind of stuff. I'm sure you guys remember. I don't need to go into detail on that, but the point is we don't want that happening with Winds and Waves, so I think, like I just said, that's fantastic news to me. Then the last thing I want to show you guys, just kind of a funny post here, made by one of the goats, Cardinal. He makes these sick Fakemon renders. He made the sick one of a Magikarp, which is actually based on some kind of a creature in Subnautica, which I've never actually played Subnautica. I've seen a lot of people play it, but I've never played it myself. Let me know down below if it's a fun game and if you guys would recommend it, but I thought this design was just hilarious, man. Imagine if we got some kind of a Magikarp that just looked as derpy as this guy looks. I wonder what the Gyarados of this would look like too. That'd be kind of insane. I thought this guy looked hilarious. I'm sure people would absolutely love blush of this thing if we actually did see some kind of a Magikarp form that looked like this. Magikarp is already such a memed on Pokemon, so I couldn't even imagine the memes and all that kind of stuff around this guy right here. I think people would probably go crazy for it. Make sure you guys check out Cardinal. Like I said, he always makes these really cool and creative renders like this. You guys definitely got to go check him out. Link's going to be in the description. And let me know what you guys think about all the leaks that we covered in this video, which one you guys are most hyped for, and if you guys have any of your own input on any of the stuff we talked about. And also, like I said before, I'm trying to hit 30K on my channel, so if you guys don't mind helping me out to reach my goal, it's always extremely appreciated.